Hey everybody, it's me, Felix,
And it's Outsmith311 here.
and we're here for our weekly, or semi-weekly, whatever kind of podcast. Tonight we're going to be talking about modern gaming again. We're going to take a little bit different perspective than we did in the first episode. But I'm supposed to say that you should check out our Twitch, twitch.tv/Bananarama, and check us out on Twitter, Bananarama_TV. Both of those places are a great place to see where we what we do. Twitter will alert you to all the great things we're doing. Pretty much anytime we're streaming, we're gonna have a post about that.
And we're pretty good about answering people back, and we try to get on there as much as we can.
Twitter's a pretty fun community. And speaking of Twitter, shout out to Team MZ.
Hello.
And our Twitch is just wonderful. Hopefully, we're streaming quite frequently at the moment. So go check us out there for our nightly streams. So, I guess it's time to get into it, huh?
Oh yeah, talking today about modern gaming. Last time we came at it from more of a, what would you say, like a...
retrospective,
yeah,
I kind of think of.
Kind of how I think we talk more about how it impacted us and the gamers themselves.
Maybe personal experience more so in this one, or in the last one. In this one, though, I think we're going to take a look at more of maybe the industry as a whole. And not our personal feelings on it, but how it's evolved. And how it got to where it is today.
Starting off with the little 8-bit, not even 8-bit, God, the original computer games were like little blobs shooting other blobs.
Atari is a great example of just like not the beginning games, but early gamings where it's extremely limited in palette, memory size, what kind of things they can display on the screen. And then today games are, oh Lord, like they're overwhelming.
Beautiful graphics. I mean, Breath of the Wild just came out.
Yeah, that was on my mind. Like, I go and play that game and it's fun, but then I take account of how small I am in the world and how much there is to do. I don't know, it's insane.
It's orders of magnitude bigger than even what really surprised me, like Skyrim and GTA 5 and stuff. I was surprised by how much bigger. I figured it might have been a little bigger, but
it's considerably bigger than Skyrim is.
I mean, this is a world that you can literally take a vacation to a different...
Oh, yeah. It's immense. I mean, there's towns with people in them, and they all have their own personalities. It astounds me how it was made. All the people... Oh, it's immense. But now, here's one of the major differences. The technology now lets us have these kind of games where we actually get to explore the worlds.
Yes.
In the early days, you had to inspire imagination about the worlds, right? You had to create a world inside someone's imagination. I don't know. And not to say that one's better or worse, it's just that's what's beautiful about games, is that they are alternate worlds that you go to. But the way that we're able to experience these alternate worlds is just so much more immersive now.
Well, before it was almost like asking somebody to build a house with just a hammer or something. It's like, yeah, you come up with something, but you really have to kind of use your imagination to make it. To me, you almost have to meet, like even with Nintendo. When they came out, it was cutting edge graphics. It was cutting edge memory. I mean, what they did that was really clever is they used their resources to the best. And Guardian Legend always comes to mind.
Mm-hmm.
Favorite game, NES game, where they had all these different seals and these different things you had to do in the room were just different little. It's like, okay, well, what can we have them do? One of them is you have to sit still for so long. The other one is you have to store things in a certain. I mean, they kept all these weird little things you had to do. I mean, if you just sit and look at them by themselves, they're just like, oh, whatever. But back then, it created this illusion of this deep game. And that's where the technology has really jumped, is having to go from having to create the illusion of depth to now that's a whole other discussion,
Mm-hmm. And graphics too have a lot to do with that. I mean, we don't think of the NES as being graphically intensive now, but I mean, they in its time, It was like a pioneer of graphics for a home console. And I think of Final Fantasy and how big that game is, right? Oh, yeah. Even you know, back then people were probably saying the exact same thing, like, how are people sculpting these worlds that are so immense? And it's just I don't know.
You go from text-based or like little tiny Atari-based games with simple shapes and simple goals, and all of a sudden, you know, you have like something like Mario Brothers, which I'm at the age of 35, I can still enjoy Mario Brothers because of the atmosphere, the music, combination of the music, the gameplay, the characters. I mean, that's what's so impressive about a lot of those Nintendo games. Mm-hmm. Like the Legend of Zelda games and the Metroid. Oh, not all of them, unfortunately. When you got that many games, there's going to be a few that are
sure, but the core ones. Anyway.
Yeah. I mean, they do the best they can with what they have available to them. Mm-hmm. And in Breath of the Wild, I can't wait to see this other Mario game they're talking about.
Super Mario Odyssey. Because, yes.
I mean, you look at every Mario, that's all they've done is every time they make a new game for these systems, they go, well, what can we do with this, what can this system do to change?
How can we use this? Well, I think that's part of the beauty of it too, and it has changed so much with time and technology and graphics. The limitations that you have, and the NES had to live within its limitations, and that's what makes an art form, is having to create something in these limitations. Mm-hmm. But there are limitations in some degrees, and then there's, I don't know, in other ways, like space isn't as much of a thing as it used to be. No. To make a game that big, and that being a launch title for the Switch, Zelda, Breath of the Wild, you can only imagine that the worlds will be bigger, and the games will look better and run better. But if we talk about graphics, I can't help but feel like we need to talk about, I don't know, what I consider a dark time in gaming. I don't know, maybe this is cliche. I just feel like if we're going to talk about graphics in modern gaming, we need to talk about when maybe people lost sight because of a graphical race of what it means to make an immersive game. Mm. You know, there's a time when, and I mean, it still happens. There's game series, and we won't name any. If you want to, I don't care. I'm not gonna name any, but that just pump out game after game, and there's no real improvements on them. Nobody means, you know, it's not like a Zelda game where they make sure, or like a core Zelda game where they're gonna make sure that this is a hit. They're just pumping out games, and I don't know. There was a time when the Xbox and like the PlayStation 2, the PlayStation 3, there's this huge like, we want to have graphics, and okay, now I'm going to say good graphics or quality graphics, because graphics do make a game. When you play Final Fantasy, the NES one, any of them, I mean, the NES one set like a bar for RPGs that still exists. And maybe Dragon Quest came out first, I don't know, but that style of game. Yeah. But, again, they're not the best graphics, but what they did with the pixels made it look good. Mm-hmm. You liked what you saw. I always liked the monsters, because I don't know, the monster sprites look sweet in like every Final Fantasy game.
I mean, unless you played, you know, if you played D&D or something like that, I mean, you had like you would have the books. It was still an imagination thing at the end of the day. Right. This was the first time that you could, like in your own home, have played this kind of story. I mean, there were early PC games, but once again, a lot of it was text.
And some of those did have terrible graphics, admittedly.
Graphics, the gameplay was murky, like.
But again, it comes, limitations. The gameplay was murky. Well, and there was a lot of shovelware, man. There was a lot of garbage games coming out. I mean, that is a thing. But with the graphics race, it was just nuts. It was like the systems were fueling this race. Like, we're gonna have higher power stuff, and then these game companies need to feel like they gotta produce this stuff, and it's like you lose the point. It looks good, but nobody feels like they're actually in a game world. Yeah. Because nothing feels like it's... Everything else is out of place. The characters don't seem realistic, so it looks beautiful, but it's just like two-dimensional in its own right.
Well, yeah, I think that's what Nintendo has continued to do. That a lot of these other systems just don't want to do, or just don't grasp that. You know, you played Breath of the Wild. I mean, and I would like to get, you know, tweet at us if you can give us a good example of this. You know, someone who's maybe never played Legend of Zelda before, never really been into it, and then actually played Breath of the Wild. I'd like to hear from their point of view, but from a fan point of view, they made that game. I mean, it's not a carbon copy of any of the other games. But it's called back to so many of the other games.
Amazingly so, it directly references Ocarina of Time frequently, which is obviously fan service to a degree. But that also it shows a direct connection in a universe that usually doesn't give us any direct connection between games. The Zelda universe rarely directly references another timeline that we know of.
They've done what I think, like when you look at like other forms of media, like the Marvel movies. I like what they do and what they're able to take everything. Sorry about that. Oh crap.
Nope.
I hate when this happens.
Marvel movies.
I started making
the references to the different games.
Sorry about that, folks. I got a little distracted for a second. No, most of those Marvel movies, you can watch them and not know much about. I mean, as a friend of mine, we both love the Marvel movies and the Marvel properties, Netflix and stuff, but she's coming at it from a point of view of she only really knows what she's seen on screen. Mm-hmm. But she still enjoys it without having to know all the...
Well, I would say I fit in that category. I never got deep into the Marvel lore or the magazine lore. You know, comic books just weren't really a thing. Maybe I've seen the cartoons and stuff, but that stuff's more accessible. You know, like Marvel, you know, X-Men or whatever. Mm-hmm. But when I know the movies, or when I see the movies, I don't understand a lot of the deeper stuff. Like, my friend was telling me that, the blue guy from Guardians of the Galaxy? I can't remember his name. See, I'm not familiar with all these people. That's another thing, is when I see the movies, I'm like learning everybody's names, even though they're iconic to like people. You know, you're like, how do you not know his name? And I'm like, I'm sorry.
Actually, with Guardians of the Galaxy, you were probably on more even footing with more people. Even someone like me who's read the comic. I never really read that one, and with the exception of Drax and Gamora, most of those characters I didn't know anything about. Or very little. Well,
my friend was saying that Yondu's fin that he gets in the second movie is a reference to the comic book.
Oh, yeah.
See, now that's not something that I would ever pick up on, but I like... They do a good job of... It's still cool when he puts it on. Mm. It's not as cool as it is when you see it. You're like, haha, there's his fin. But I'm like, oh, he's got his fin back. I don't know. It was very enjoyable. I liked both of those movies a lot. It was the first time I'd seen Guardians of the Galaxy. Please don't anybody shoot me. I watched that, and then we went to the movie theater and saw it too, and it was just good. It was a really good experience. So, yeah, absolutely. But speaking of the Zelda, to go back to Breath of the Wild, Anna, or Keezy, we'll call her Keezy.
Yes.
Keezy, she's played video games, but never like us. She didn't grow up playing them or anything like that. And we got the DS, we got the 3DS and some various things, and she's played through Pokemon and things, but she binge plays Breath of the Wild.
Nice.
She she just plays for hours and hours and hours, and I'm like, yes, I'm proud of her, kind of, but she really likes it, and it's so funny because we all play the game differently. And like, Mega's been playing it, I've been playing it, Keezy's been playing it, and we all play it completely differently.
I didn't even think about her being a good example of that. Yeah, she doesn't. Yeah. She doesn't have all the baggage of knowing all the lore and playing the other games. For her,
no, I don't think she's ever played a Zelda game all the way through, and she loves it. She loves Breath of the Wild.
It's like it works out good from both perspectives, because it rewards you for being a fan and for knowing the lore. But you don't have... It's still quality on its own. It doesn't rely on those connections. I can't speak to it as much as you guys can. It doesn't seem to rely on those connections to make its own game. But it just enriches the story more.
Right. Like, it's a standalone. It's a lot of fun, obviously. And if you know the stuff, it's just a little, you just know a little bit more of the lore. Just a little bit closer to it.
But they remember what makes the games. They were able to, and the graphics are beautiful.
Well, it takes a lot of the great aspects of Zelda games and employs them in a different way, because it's the open world game. But, you know what constantly weirds me out about that game is that there's a jump button.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'll like run and fall off a cliff, and Kizzy's like, "What are you doing?" And I'd be like, "I'm sorry. I'm playing a Zelda game, and I'm used to it auto jumping for me at this point."
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, and I remember playing the 64 one and thinking about how weird that was. It was a concept I was like, you got to run to the edge to jump. And now it's just common
Link's
nature.
Awakening, you had the feather, right?
Well, yeah, Link's Awakening, you had the feather. But the other one that I think of is A Link to the Past, and there was no jumping in that game. You can jump down cliffs, but short of that. And you can bomb jump, but that's a different thing altogether. But, yeah. So, yeah, that's kind of foreign for me.
Yeah.
But it still feels like a Zelda game. I have the Master Sword, and it's fantastic. It's like, yes!
But they've been smart enough to take, through all this technology and all these different advancements, they've been smart enough to, so in a lot of the cases, not all the cases, they've been smart enough to stick to what made the games fun and use the technology to build on that instead of building the game around the technology.
Yeah. Well, what's fun about a Zelda game? Opening up chests, finding treasure, solving puzzles, and getting rewarded for it. This game is full of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Kizzy, she's like, I check every body of water with, you have this magnet power, because they'll hide treasure chests in the water that you can pick up with your magnetic power.
Nice.
And it's like, that's typical
like,
Zelda, though.
Yeah, something right out of Wind Waker or something.
Or the other day she was playing and she saw 2 treasure chests and she didn't know how to get to them. And I was like, yep, that's Zelda. Here's 2 treasure chests that you can get if you can figure out how to get to them. Like,
they're just right there. They're dangling right in front of you. None of that. I mean, those are the aspects. Even the technology has not changed. I mean, they do. Some do it better, and it's broadened it. But
no, and the technology. Yeah, it hasn't changed the core of Zelda.
Mm.
They use again, it's just a different platform. They use that platform to make a great Zelda adventure. I don't know, the video game technology is nuts, and mobile gaming, which we're going to have a podcast about, is another part of that. Yes. In reality, because I don't know, mobile games 10 years ago, maybe I didn't have the newest, hottest phone, but I think that they sucked. And I think even 5 years ago, there probably weren't that many mobile games. I mean, we don't have the charts in front of us. We could look it up, but I bet you the amount of money spent on mobile games in the last 5 years has gone up quite a bit. But that's because the games are great. I started playing Star Wars Heroes recently, and it's a lot like Final Fantasy Brave, which I play. And these games are, again, immense. They're like endless. You can just get more units and upgrade those units, and then some of the stuff you get experience points in grows so minutely. Like, the limit bursts, you get 1 point in them every time you use a limit burst. And then you can level it up. But you have to, like, get the bar full to use them, and then you have to use them. And I'm looking at them like, I have to get 314 of these to level up. And you know what I mean? It's like, and that's technology, man. Even these games, talk about the technology, they're almost fragile. I need to be pretty much connected to the internet to play Final Fantasy Brave, because every time, I think I do have to be connected. It says connecting, and it stops, and it does another check with the server.
Yeah, a lot of those games.
It's just crazy. You could never have games like that before. And Final Fantasy Brave is free. So it's like a game I could play. They limit how much you could play at one time by giving you energy. But it's a game I can play like endless amount of time. I don't have to pay a single dime for.
Well, the technology forced them, just like with a lot of things, to, across the board, to change the way that they did business, the way that they structured their businesses. Like, I mean, people still buy console games. That's still a thing. But, like... microtransactions are pretty much a thing because of mobile games. I don't know. And then they use Pokemon Go, right? It uses the gyroscope and everything in your phone and your location to in your camera, right? This combination of things where you can look at the real world and it augments reality by putting a Pokemon there. That's just multiple forms of technology being brought together to just create gaming like we've never seen before. And there's always these catalysts. Pokemon Go is a better, I think, better success story, but we talked about it before in No Man's Sky. That whole debacle, I'm interested to see what comes from that. What people look at that technology and what they were trying to do, and people who maybe have the know-how or the resources can come together and expand. You know, maybe they will have a game where you have a whole endless universe where you can just endlessly play, you know, travel to different planets and just...
In a way, I feel like No Man's Sky is a spiritual successor, if you will, to Spore.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that.
What's going to be the next thing in that line? There will be another thing, and it will be better. So we were all let down by No Man's Sky, but it will lead to something. Just to know that you can have 15 quintillion planets, or how many, whatever the exact number is absurd.
But, like I said, that was just a case of someone, I think they got in over their head, and they just... I know there was a point where, like, we can't do this shit. We don't have time to do this. We don't have the manpower. We're probably working, like, 27 hours a day,
and still realizing that you're sinking, right? You're
hopeless.
You have nonstop been getting water out of the boat, but there's still water in there. I don't know. Just, yeah, hopeless. Yeah, those guys. I don't know, man. Developing games is its own whole crazy thing. But, I don't know. Technology gets us. You want to have beautiful graphics and you don't make it a crappy game. You want to have this massive universe and you end up making a crappy game. I mean, like, these things don't make the game. When you do that, you've lost the entire concept of a game.
And it's even, I think it's kind of weird to even, it's almost like the nature versus nurture, like, to try to generalize it. Sometimes you look at a game and it doesn't have the greatest graphics, but it's, like, beloved. Mm-hmm. Even now, there's so many games constantly surrounding us, whether it's mobile, a downloadable service like Steam, or what was the one you were telling me about earlier that has a client? I can't remember.
Oh, GOG?
GOG.
GOG.com.
There's something for everybody now, and it's because there are people out there who are more connoisseur of graphics. They want to have the most powerful machine. They want to have the most beautiful pixels, or I don't even know the lingo, because it's not that I don't care. I just don't.
And I don't want to get it twisted, like, either. If you like that thing, it doesn't matter. And I'm not saying I don't like beautiful graphics at all. There's not a debate about that at all. I just want, when I play a game, I want a game that... I'd rather have a game, I don't know, that has, like, Super NES graphics that was fantastic. Than the beautiful game that was just no fun at all. I think most gamers feel that way. And again, I'm not speaking for everybody. I'm sure some people like things just because they're beautiful. And that's fine too. But, like, I don't know, I got, like, starry-eyed with Skyrim. Because that game looks so cool and the idea of it's so cool. And then when I play it, it's, like, shallow as all hell. And it's not that I dislike the game. It's just, like, I don't know. Maybe that's part of the spoiled attitude we have now with modern gaming, is that, like, I mean, it's cool that there's, like, this giant world to explore with dragons and shit, but it just feels kind of shallow to me because there's not an in-depth, like, crafting system, or maybe there is, and I don't know. You know what I mean, though?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's easy to get over or underwhelmed when you're surrounded by. I mean, in some of the games that come out, some of these systems, man. Like, when I first saw God of War 3 for PS3, that opening scene was almost like watching an honest-to-God movie. It's beautiful.
Those God of War games are that way, though. They're Zelda-like in that sense, where they're beautiful within the limitations. They know the limitations. They don't try to necessarily press them to go as far as they can. They just make a game that looks great within those limitations. So, I don't know.
There's also, you know, we can download like a big one that we're really about, like Unturned.
Oh yeah, and Unturned is like a fantastic game, and it's all blocky looking. Like, it doesn't look good graphically really at all. And it's not to say it looks bad or they like careless. Obviously, it looks fine, but it's really blocky looking.
Well, hell, Minecraft's the best-selling game of all time.
Yeah, and look at that. And it's just fun and customization.
Well, to be that guy to come up with that, man, because he didn't really like he wasn't like I don't think he was someone like worked for a studio and he designed this. Like he come up with the game and he sold the game and it caught on like fire, man.
That's nuts, man. And they keep making new renditions of that. They got one coming out for the Switch. It's Minecraft Mario Edition.
Oh my god!
It has like special like I don't know. It had like giant structures of like Mario characters in the game. I was like nuts. Yeah, that guy must make a ton of money though. That game is still like $26 to buy, I think. Hey, I think though we're gonna take a little break here if that's cool with you.
Yes.
Okay, and when we come back, we're gonna talk about digital purchases a little bit. We mentioned some of these streaming clients or these game clients. Well, I think we'll go a little bit further into that, and then we're gonna talk about our experiences streaming, and the whole world of streaming in general, because that's also something that's kind of, I mean, technology obviously. These are shifts because of technology that we've seen in the last 5 and 10 years. Being the ability to stream and the just
the community,
how simple it is, and the community that's built up over it, and how cool it is to be part of that, like this growing, this like new thing. So we'll be back with that, and right after these messages that you should definitely listen to. They're very important. They might save your life one day.
Shaba.
Shh. Blah. Hey everybody, thanks for listening, and we want to take a second here to thank our Patreon supporters. We appreciate you very much. You help us do what we do. All the donations, all that money stacks up, and it helps us afford some really good things for the channel and the station that we normally couldn't.
And all that money goes right back into the channel. We appreciate everything everybody's done for us, and we just want to continue to make the best entertainment we can and do what we enjoy doing, playing video games, interacting with everybody, and trying to make as much original content as we can. So stop on by. We have all kinds of perks that you can be part of.
We got perks. We're gonna give you shout outs. We'll put your names on our videos. It's a way to help out and support if you're not sure how and you like what we do. It's patreon.com/bananarama TV.
Once again, we'd like to thank everybody who supported us and everybody who's donated and continues to help us grow.
Thank you.
Join us every Friday evening as Felix and Loom.
And whoever else I can convince to come play games with me.
Usually, hopefully me, Yadsmith311.
Oh, someone will be there with me.
We'll be doing multiplayer gaming this season. Something we're going to try.
Yes, every Friday night. We're going to be playing various games with our friends. And it probably will vary greatly depending on what games everyone has and what we want to play. So, it should be an interesting potluck of gaming.
So yeah, stop on by and let's all game together and do what we do best.
And if you don't want to play and you just want to lurk in the chat room, well, that's fine too.
You can find us on Discord as well.
Yep, so the main place for that is twitch.tv/bananarama. Thanks for listening. Well, welcome back. Thanks for listening intently. I hope you took notes. Those messages are important.
It will be an exam.
Yes, multiple exams. Just as a reminder, we stream on Twitch all the time. So check us out at twitch.tv/bananarama. And since we don't really stream on Twitch all the time, at least not literally, you should follow us. Did I say that wrong? I said it right? We should say twitch.tv/bananarama. I'll spell it. Maybe that was my problem. That's BANANAROMA. Okay? And then on Twitter, so like I said, since we don't literally stream all the time right now, follow us on Twitter. What's up?
We are streaming
frequently. We have a good schedule right now.
So at least 5 days a week. Or for ideally 5. That's what we'll
see. We are streaming nightly though, so check that out at least frequently, and we'll tell you all about it on bananarama_TV. That's on Twitter. So go check us out there. We post all kinds of awesome stuff there as well. So back to the stuff, I guess. So we were talking about technology quite a bit today. This is part of our modern gaming series. And one of the modern gaming things, which is glorious and its own kind of pain, is like digital purchases.
Yes.
And there are clear advantages, but there's disadvantages as well. And there's so many services that just come to mind, like Twitch, or excuse me, not Twitch, Steam, right? GOG, which I think is Galaxy of Games. They have one. There's an Origin client. Blizzard has its own client for its games. And then even consoles, right? Yeah. Digital purchases for all that. You know, for my 3DS and for the Switch. I got, what did I get? Metal Slug 3 on the Switch, you know?
Yeah.
Love that. But
you could do all that stuff too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been a thing for a while. It's been a staple of gaming. But it's evolved kind of. Like I recently went to Galaxy of Games recently. And I picked up a couple of games from them because they're DRM free. And I really like that idea. They have a client, but it's not like Steam where you have to be running the client to run the game. You know, Steam is kind of a dictatorship in a sense of like, this is your game library. We don't really want you to share it with anybody. And you can only be playing one of your games at a time, even if you have 300 games. And it's not that... Again, there are definite advantages to Steam. Like, it's great that I have a game, and I always have it, and I can log on to a different computer and install it and play it. You know what I mean? I don't know. I buy the game once, I don't even have to worry about a physical thing ever getting destroyed.
Yeah.
And then there's Steam sales, you know, let's not forget that. That's something that you never really saw with physical games, and you won't because it costs money to make them. It's not that they don't have sales, but it's not like a digital sale. It's not like a Steam sale.
Like 15 games for $1.
But there's something to the core of gaming, like since you were a kid, where you had a physical copy of it, and you had a library of games, and you can trade it to people, and you can, you know, play it. Like, you can only play that one game in one place, but then, or maybe you can't. I remember we used to play LAN games on the computer, and we would just like burn copies of Brood War or whatever and just pass it around, and not so everybody could steal the game. I think Brood War even had like a spawn mode that they put in the game, probably because people were doing this, where you could install it like a basic version on a computer, and you could play multiplayer with it for free. Okay. But we used to play Alien vs Predator, and like we'd LAN up, so we just burn the disc for everybody. Now, I'm not promoting copyright piracy. I'm not saying that's a cool thing, but what I'm saying is, like, if I own a game and I want to LAN up with my friends, I feel like we should all be able to install it and play it.
Yeah.
And GOG brought me back to that. I was like, oh, they're selling me games, and I got the advantages of having discounts because it's digital and online, but they're letting me get all the download files, so I can back it up myself. I don't need to be online to play or to install it. You know, I can play with my friends. Yeah, I don't have someone dictating how to use the thing that I paid for. I mean, if we're saying something, like that, I don't know. I like to have it stored on my hard drive, you know?
Oh, yeah.
I like the freedom. But, I don't know. I have a ton of games on Steam, and I do use Steam, so I'm not saying it's bad, but... Another thing... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say... It's like with I like to buy movies on the Amazon client, and I do think in the back of my head, I'm like, well, what happens if something happens? I'm spending, movies are like $10-15 a pop, and you have to have it through. I would feel better if I had a copy of that, and that's a cool idea.
Okay, well, not video games, but it's directly related. It's the same kind of idea. I had that problem recently, or I had a similar dilemma. Rogue One was released, right? And I was like, well, I can go get a DVD of it, or I can buy it from YouTube. And I had some YouTube money, like whatever. I had some credits on there, and I had like a discount code to buy a movie on there. And I was like, well, what the heck? I'm gonna buy it. And I do really like. Again, it's just a different form. It has its pros and it has its cons. I like that anytime I want, I can pretty much anytime as long as I have internet. Start the movie. I could play it on the Chromecast.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. And I can control it from my phone. I can pause it and adjust the sound from my phone. I don't have to deal with a DVD. See, now a DVD you have and you can watch when you don't have internet.
Yeah.
But it's a physical thing that you have to store in your house. You know, you have to have a place for it. And if you have a bunch of movies, you have to have a lot of space for that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a physical disc that you need to be careful of, because there's no guarantee on that disc. If that disc gets scratched or something, or lost or stolen, it's gone. You'll always have the digital copy. And so far, it's run pretty well on YouTube, but I always imagine, like, what if I didn't have internet for one? I can't watch Rogue One.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you can download them, I'm not sure. I know some services let you do that. I'm not sure if YouTube lets you do that.
I don't know if they do that or not.
I don't know. But either way, I'm still going to say that's like still kind of a disadvantage. Even, I don't know, it's just different.
Even as you say that, I think Amazon does let you download.
Do they? I know some services do. And I like that. That's bridging the gap. But, I don't know. It's just weird. It's something else you have to consider, pretty much. Like, do I want the physical one? Well, back to gaming, Pokemon, right? The last couple games have been released digitally, and you can buy the cartridge. And I bought the cartridge, but Dr. Mega Man, I think he bought one of the cartridges, and then he bought a different version, like the other version of the game, digital copy. So you kind of get the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
But, you know, again, you run into different limitations with the digital copy, I guess. It takes up space on your device, for one. You can't, like, my games, I like to be able to switch in between I have 3DSs. I like the freedom to be able to switch the game. If the battery dies on one, I can go play on the other one.
Yeah.
And this one has a much bigger screen than my 2DS does. So, you know, that's something you lose, too, with the digital thing, is it's not as easy to transport. It doesn't have your save files on it, maybe.
When you take the concept of, like, the concept of having a digital game that you can stream in and of itself is great. Because you don't have to store it. Because you can access it from different places. But then some of the stuff they've done with that is what's kind of made it, diluted that idea, you know?
You're right. Well, I think that's what I kind of was getting at with Steam a little bit. It's like, you took away some of the things we loved about gaming. Like, I'm going to go ahead and say it really sucks that I have 300... I don't have 300 games on my Steam library, but there's plenty of people who do, and they can only play one of them at a time. Like, yeah. I have games in the closet and, you know, out there, and if I have multiple Super Nintendos, then anybody can play on them, you know? Or 64s or whatever. Or you could play a PlayStation game that I have and a Super Nintendo game. Like, I don't like that. I don't know why it has to be that way. Why do you need that kind of control over it? I don't know. And that could be its own podcast, because I'm sure a lot of that might be copyright issues and contracts and stuff with these game developers.
Oh, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's I get it always comes back to the business aspect of it, because when you have people running this stuff, and it's like it always comes down to time is money in a lot of situations. They want to be having something to show for it, but you're running when you got like different games on different clients. That's when it gets frustrating when you're streaming. When you have a game on Steam, but all your buddies have it on, you know, a GOG or something.
Yeah.
That's not a good example, but like, or same thing with the Xbox 360.
Well, the consoles might be a more like a better example, because like you can't play. Okay, and not to say this is fair, not to say that the console players would have any kind of chance, but you can't play Overwatch with console players on your PC. I mean, the PC players have an advantage because of the mouse. The game is inherently different because of that. But I don't know. I think there are some cross-platform games that are multiplayer. I want to say like Final Fantasy 14 is, but I could be wrong about that. I don't know. No, it's okay. I was just thinking. I'm just taking a second to just think, guys. It's okay. Well,
it is like movies. They got all these like Marvel's doing the same. They got this And we're putting games on when you have games on different platforms. They got all these different shows that all connect, but some of them you can only watch if you have a certain service. And after a while, you get a streaming service to save money, and like Steam, you definitely save money. Even on bigger titles, some of the sales they have are great, and that's a big advantage. But then, I don't know, man. Then it gets to a point where it's like, well, you want to play this game, but you have to have this client. That's where it gets frustrating for me. Where it's just like with like Apple stuff, where it's like they make it so difficult for it to work with anything else. You have to have their thing.
It's all proprietary, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, not a big fan of the proprietary business. That stuff should be open and free. I don't know. I don't know. Something like oppressive about Steam in a way. Not to say that it's all bad, but some of the practices, you're like, I don't know, you get used to them, but you're like, man, I want it to be different. I don't know. But I feel like we could talk about digital purchases for a long time. Do you want to talk about streaming for a bit, though?
Oh, yeah. I mean, a lot of that kind of goes together.
Because, yeah, well, another thing, I don't know if we're going to talk about, like, some of these deeper philosophies of gaming and what it means now. Digital purchases, okay, so you have some people being really like, oh, well, we're afraid we're going to get stolen from, we need to make our money. And you get some people who are, like, more free about it. And, but I'll tell you, everything's been, or, like, as far as I could tell, every game company has been cool about, and that's streaming. Mm-hmm. And you're essentially playing their copyrighted music for free. I mean, you're not exactly doing that. It's not like a radio station, but that music is copywritten. Yeah. And you are broadcasting it. And the game itself is, even though, I mean, there's probably no lawsuits that have related to anything like that I'm aware of anyway. Maybe there have been. But the game companies really haven't seemed to be throwing a fit that you're playing their game and showing their content online.
But I wonder, like, how much, where the line is with that. Because I know, like, when we try to upload videos to YouTube, we have issues sometimes with certain music and stuff that...
Well, I wonder how much of that is YouTube trying to cover its own butt. You know what I mean? Trying to cover itself. I don't know if that's any game developer directly, or if that's YouTube trying to be like, we don't really want to get in trouble, or if that's something that was more related to. The specific issue we've had on YouTube is that sometimes we'll play a game and parts of it will be silenced. We put up a video of Todd playing Guitar Hero, and the entire thing was silenced. And, but I've seen Guitar Hero videos on YouTube with the sound. Yeah. So my guess is that there's some kind of algorithm that YouTube uses to test the sound out on all their stuff. And if it detects in their database that these sounds are the same as a copywritten song or whatever, they probably just blank a whole part of it out that to cover their own selves. I don't know. That's how I understand it to work, but...
Well, it's been interesting watching it grow, and because just like with anything else, it changes the landscape once again. Because, I mean, how many streamers? I mean, just on Twitch alone, how many people stream? I mean, you're gonna police like down to that like specific level.
Oh yeah, the numbers. I mean, they could go right to Twitch and complain about it, but like Twitch is part of Amazon. I mean, it's like a socially acceptable thing, pretty much. Obviously, there are still issues with like some things, like the music, like we talked about, or whatever. But I don't know. It's totally socially acceptable, and it's great. When I first started seeing streamers, I was amazed, and then you're watching speedrunners, and they're like incredible at what they do, and you didn't even know people were out there. Like, I mean, you kind of did. There's people who do tournaments who are insanely good at gaming, but like being able to just tune in and have a chat with these people. Is crazy. It's just it's a different experience. I was inspired from the first time. I think first real introduction to streaming was Sig Lemick. He was running Super Mario 64 all the time, and I just like loved it. I just fell in love. I was like, I want to do something with this. And then everybody on Twitch always felt cool. Not you got douchebags everywhere, but it was like, this feels like a cool community, and people would help each other. So I'm glad that streaming's been accepted. I don't know. It's beautiful.
Well, it's funny because I end up at the same place from a different direction because I was never a big fan of multiplayer gaming in the first place, and to me, the idea of sitting and watching somebody else play, I ain't gonna lie, I never understood it.
Yeah.
I have had friends who, I had a friend who used to like me to bring over Lego games and Legend of Zelda games just to watch me play them.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'd be like, oh, that sounds boring, you know. But it
Right.
wasn't until I started watching like the GDQ stuff and started watching some of the speedrunners.
And that is a different thing than someone casually playing a game.
Mm-hmm.
The speedrunners really, these people are dedicated, you know, and you're watching them do something amazing. And you're watching these people online, sometimes they're practicing, but sometimes they're doing world record attempts. And there's a certain, you know, thrill of being there and watching him practice and keep trying for the world records, because maybe you get to watch when he does the world record attempt and you're pretty much there for it, right?
Yeah.
You don't need a ticket to get in. You can just watch for free.
Well, the good thing with Twitch is, Twitch has been the main one we've been messing with. We've dabbled a little bit in YouTube. So I don't know from that perspective, but I know one thing I noticed on Twitch is most of the people who are really just trying to make trouble and being belligerent and that, they get filtered out pretty quick.
Yeah, they do.
And not to say that everybody is positive all the time, but most of the people who just
No, but people who are being toxic or trolls, either the streamers know how to deal with them, but there's also, you know, Twitch.tv really, I don't know if it's entirely responsible, but it's a huge part of what's made streaming big.
Oh yeah, I think that more than anything.
It's because of these things though, right? Because they have moderators. You can make people moderators, and the moderators have different options to ban people or to delete their messages or to give them warnings. That part of what maintains that, right? That helps filter out. Mm-hmm. It maintains the chaos of the internet in a way. I don't know. Twitch has been fantastic.
It's a safe atmosphere. I mean, you can go on there. I know, like, I never really was too worried about people watching me game when I first streamed. I mean, that wasn't a concern, but it did change my gaming. It made me want to game better.
Oh,
but
yeah.
It was never a worry of, like, I'm going to go on here and get laughed out. You know, these,
right.
Because I learned pretty quick because people
it's almost the exact opposite. Sometimes we get people who troll. Sure. I mean, that's okay. But we had really supportive people, too. Like Tobley. Like, right off the bat, we met, like, a bunch of supportive people. And, like, we made friends.
EC Riptide was one.
Riptide. Yeah, and Riptide still comes around. We haven't seen Tobley in a long time. I think his computer blew up. But, yeah, man. Riptide. It's like, dude, it's just good meeting people and hanging out with people and sharing what you like to do. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't always like to watch somebody play a game, but you know what I do like to do? Hang out with my friends and play video games, even if we're not all playing the same game. And Twitch emulates that experience in a way.
Oh, yeah.
I'm home by myself or just chilling. Maybe everybody's asleep and I'm on the computer and I'm like, it's a little lonely. You throw on Twitch and it's like you got a friend, you know? You got somebody, and you can literally talk to them.
Especially if you go to certain streams more than others, you can get to know the people.
Yeah. Oh, it's a community, right?
Yeah.
That's what it is. And it's cool to be part of that community. So, I don't know. We love streaming.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun. The first time I did it, I enjoyed it. Like, I was really surprised how much. I think I streamed Star Wars Lego Clone Wars. I think that's what it was. And it was a good time, you know, because you are in front of a camera.
Mm-hmm.
I've had some times on it. I mean, you know, I've had some insane conversations with just being goofy with certain people. Dude, just having fun with it. You know?
Right. And I mean, like, we have insane conversations sometimes too. So, if people come in to chat you, sometimes they vibe with it, right? They know exactly what kind of stuff is gonna go on. I don't know. It's fun, and you know, you brought up how streaming has changed your game. Streaming has changed the way I just look at games entirely, really. Just because, for streaming, you know, I'm trying to entertain people. You know, we're trying to hang out too, but I want to be halfway good at what I'm doing, right? So it inspired me to really try to not just have fun when I'm playing a game, but to actually be, like, good at it, right? Mm-hmm. And I know some of you don't understand that. You just want to perfect the game. But I don't know. I like screwing around in games. To me, a game is a game. I like just doing silly, dumb stuff. I don't have to be like a master at it. But, anymore, again, I don't feel like I need to be a master, but I do want to have a certain level of proficiency when I play games, and Twitch has made me aware of that, being in front of people. And it's been real. I got so good at Resident Evil 2 and A Link to the Past. And no, I'm not a world record holder or master at all, but like, man, I got those games down pretty good. And that's all comes from like studying it and watching speedruns, and more importantly, probably playing it every week. As that was my stream, that was my comfort game. I used to play Link to the Past all the time when I was a kid. So I was like, this is gonna be my game.
What makes you aware of all of a sudden, especially if you're playing ahead of time? Okay, I'm gonna be streaming this game next week. All of a sudden, instead of just going, oh, well, I'm just gonna pick a game, you're like, well, I want to play this game and I want to practice and I want to be ready for it when I'm actually on. It is almost like a performance in a sense, but it's not.
No, it is.
It really depends.
One of my friends,
so versatile, you know what I mean? What we do with it.
One of my friends was like, he compared it to a band, like a band performance.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is. You're doing something in front of people live, and you need to be on your stuff. You need to have been prepared. You know what I mean? It's not. People do play blind games. I don't. I want to be. I don't know. You know what I mean?
But usually it's all done under a, like, and that's another thing I love about streaming and what technology has opened up this endless world where you don't have to fight for a niche. There's so many things you can do, and there's so many people out there with so many different interests.
Because there are people who play blind games, but I figure they can do that because they're really good at a particular kind of game, and they have a pretty good idea of what's going to happen in the game, right? So, yeah, but there are niches. There's speedrunners, there's casual gamers that are streaming, there's people doing things like that. When I was looking up A Link to the Past, I saw people doing randomizers. So it's like all the item locations in the game would be randomized. So you might open a chest that used to have a rupee in it and it has the bow in it or whatever, and it's just like playing the game like that is mind-blowing, but that's fun to watch. And there's randomizers, and hell, I mean, even if we're gonna go out, we're talking about streaming, so if we're gonna go outside of the realm of gaming a little bit, there's the creative aspect of Twitch. That's a whole category just for doing things. There's the IRL thing where you can just pretty much hang out or do any real life stuff on camera. And then there's social eating, which I'm not going to get into the deeper implications of that. But, just like, I don't know, it's cool. I don't even know if there are deeper implications. It makes me feel a little weird that that's a thing. I think that's probably suited for a different type of channel. But, whatever. I'm not going to judge. I don't know.
Well, I mean, Twitch is all. I mean, video games seem to be the main focus. But man, there's people on there building stuff. People on there doing art, drawing.
Yeah,
painting.
how tos. I was watching a DJ guy on there for a while. I liked that a lot.
Yeah, musicians of all sorts.
And that's what's great about it is mainly gaming, and they say that. And I think even in their streaming roles, it has to be streaming or cooking or blah blah blah. But I think they're pretty lax about it because they know that it is about variety. So
what's another example of people being intelligent enough to look at the times changing to say, instead of trying to fight this, how can we make it work better? And they have brought together people, people like me who was never ever into multiplayer gaming and into that kind of stuff, and completely changed my outlook on it, and just because I never really had a good experience with it.
Right.
And that's a theme we talked about many times, is that everyone could be a gamer now, and I mean, you still got elitism arguments. You got people, this system's better than this system.
Sure,
or you play mobile, and
if anything, that's a sign of the times we live in, where you can be as picky as not that just you're a gamer. That you're only a gamer if you play these certain sorts of things, or if you play on this system, or like just yes. I mean, we're all gamers, okay? You don't need to hate each other. Just your mom, okay? She probably plays Candy Crush or something stupid like that. No, not that game is stupid necessarily, but I mean, there's the elitism right there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty much a joke, but and I don't like that kind of game. That's how I feel that way. But it's a game is a game, and we're all gamers. And I I don't know. Well, heck, I downloaded BlueStacks recently, and I got the subscription for it. That's an Android emulator for the computer. I mean, the fact that exists is cool. It says something about like that platform, and not necessarily about gaming. But they do have a thing called BlueStacks TV, where they have people streaming mobile games.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, if somebody's streaming a game, that lends it some kind of legitimacy, I would think.
I mean, if having the phone emulators with all the games you can play on phones now, that's the next natural step, really.
Man, I got a smaller monitor for my computer. Like, I got a bigger one, and then I got a smaller one. I've been putting my cell phone games up on there. It's just cool to be able to, like, just click over here. Some of the games control a little better with the mouse. In a way.
I'd imagine that. Oh, that'd be so awesome.
It's so cool. I was playing Final Fantasy that way, and there's little things that sometimes I'll like mess up, and I'll press the wrong thing, and I don't know. You have, like, upgrade these guys with these items. I'm like trying to press it, and I'll be like, no, not those ones. That doesn't happen with the mouse.
No. Oh yeah, dude. I did on Wheel of Fortune sometimes. I fat finger and hit the wrong letter.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, no, damn you. Do you want to say anything? Oh, were you gonna say something?
No, I was just gonna say it's given access. I mean, just like with so many other things with technology, it's given access. I think that's what's brought it out of the basement and out of the dark dungeon aspect, and people realize it.
I heard once that speedrunners have always existed, but before they recorded their stuff on VHS and nobody else got to see it.
Yeah.
Right?
Pretty much.
Well, do you have anything else you wanted to say about like our experience? We talked about getting into it a little bit and how it's changed our gaming.
I think it's.
What about on your life as a whole? Maybe, I don't know, streaming. I mean, we've done a lot to make Bananarama an important part of our lives. We put a lot of time into it, and that is, streaming. There's a lot of different aspects to Bananarama now besides streaming. And that's grown since, but the core was all started on Twitch, basically. Oh, yeah.
Well, even this, will be heard on Twitch and YouTube, but Twitch is, that's more of the home base. But we're, we want to get. There's so much. It's such a new fertile ground. There's so much room to do different stuff. Even on our, on our lineup, Dr. Mega Man does his WoW. He that's a whole thing. I have more of a structure, a little more of a show, if you're the Insomniac hours. Habitual Ritual is a little more just kind of, hey, we're going to do this, hang out, and just...
It's a little bit more free form. I try to do the same, I get obsessed and I'll play the same game over and over and over again, but then sometimes I just keep... Maybe it's a different game every week. I don't know. It's been fun. And it's given us a great platform. Like, there's just so much to think about and so much you can do with streaming. And it's so easy to do, It's not really hard. XSplit is... And it doesn't cost money, really. And even the technology to buy this stuff is cheap. I don't know. In a way, it sounds a little silly, but this streaming phenomenon has, like, changed our lives. It's given us something like, this is what we want to do. We love video games. Let's go stream them and make cool content for everybody out there. And technology, modern gaming, is directly linked to technology. We've talked about technology, like, this entire episode. But it has allowed us to do this. Like, you're not just like, oh, I have to buy a $300 camera to start streaming. No, you can buy a $20 or $30 web camera, and that's sufficient. Like, that's fine. You don't need anything better than that. And so the investment isn't high. I don't know. I love streaming, and it's just, and more than just doing it, just the fact that it exists, that it's fun to watch, that it's great to be part of the community while it's growing, because we're, and this isn't egotistical or anything, but we are going to have an effect on streaming, I don't know, in the future, right? Because I mean, even if it's small, I mean, hopefully it's bigger impact, that's what we're aiming for, but even if it is a small impact, like, we will have, like, we'll be part of its formation.
Yeah.
Because we are doing something that's a little different. And again, we already said it. Everybody on Twitch is kind of doing something a little different. We want to have a variety stream. Ideally, when we get really rolling, we should be online all the time.
Yeah.
Streaming, maybe not live stuff, but some kind of stuff. And I don't know.
Well, it's grown quite a bit from the beginning, and we want to keep growing it. And
it's grown and it's changed, and we got plans for the future.
Well, it lets you express yourself and get yourself out in front of. It's like with music, where you can go play live. You can create music, and creating music in and of itself is fun.
Mm-hmm.
But then being able to take it out and play in front of people, and not only show how good you are, but enjoy that feedback.
The music performance is a great analogy. It's something you put time into. It's something that you like. You just enjoy doing, and then you can go do it for other people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, a platform. Yes, awesome. Well, I don't know. Think we could wrap it up here?
Well, we're going to take a little break. When we come back, we'll finish up the episode. Stay tuned for these messages from your friendly Bananarama.
Yes.
We'll be back.
Be back.
Join me, Smith311, and the rest of the BTV crew every Thursday night, starting around 9 o'clock, for Insomniac Hours. I'll be playing some of my favorite games from Super Nintendo to Wii, PC, to Xbox One. We'll be all over the place. It's what we like to do. We stay up late, we play games. You can follow us at Twitter, Bananarama_TV, for updates and interact with us during the show. Be there or be square.
Don't be square.
Two players, one controller.
What could go wrong?
Next?
Check out Control Freaks, because it's awesome.
Every other Sunday night, new episodes starring Felix and Loon.
That's me.
And Smith311.
That's him.
That's us.
And we're going to be playing Crash Bandicoot.
Super Mario World 2. I'm sorry, Super Mario World 2.
It's actually Crash Bandicoot 2 and Super Mario World 2.
2's everywhere.
Oh lord, it's like a theme. I don't even think we planned it that way. But let's just pretend that we did. So go check that out. You can watch it on Twitch when we stream it live Sunday nights, 9 p.m. Or you can check it out on YouTube.
You can keep updated on what we're going to be doing that week. Follow us at twitter.com/Bananarama_TV. Or you can also follow us at facebook.com/Bananarama Television. It's a good time.
It's a good time. Check it out. That's called
Control Freaks.
Control Freaks. Welcome back. Just in time for the end. Thanks for listening to our messages.
The show's over.
Yeah. Sorry, Stimpy.
What are we going to do?
I don't know. I got a few ideas. Cash Banuka.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's been Felix Loom and Todd Smith on vocals, Squeaky Chair on sax, and my ring finger on percussion.
Don't forget the Ottoman and Doom on tambourine.
The Ottoman of Doom and triangle. Yes.
And Dr. Mega Man on being a little girl. Just joking.
On the rag. No, we have nothing against women. Just
Dr. Mega Man. We love you, Joel. Assuming you're listening to this.
So,
Good time.
we do want to pimp ourselves out to you real quick, though. Todd?
Oh, yeah, it's my turn.
If you'd like to do the honors.
Yeah, as we mentioned earlier, you can always keep in contact with us on Twitter at twitter.com/Bananarama_TV. We check that regularly. Anytime we're going on live, or we're going live, we send out, a tweet, let everybody know what's going on. We're also part of the Team MZ squad on there, Bananarama TV, proud members, and not only check us out, but check them out too. There's a lot of good people out there. We like to go sailing around.
Team MZ has been great, very helpful,
and of course, the ever present in the center of everything, twitch.tv/Bananarama, where you can catch us all during the week doing our thing. With Insomniac Hours, Habitual Ritual, and multiplayer. We got all kinds of stuff going on. So
let's come join the fun.
Check that out.
Join the community. And then we're also on Facebook.com/Bananarama Television. That's BANANAROMA Television. And you can find fun stuff on there, like our Bananarama TV battles that we're doing weekly, and updates and funny videos from other places. General game-related content. It's a good place to keep up on things because, we're all on Facebook. And BananaramaTV.com. That's our personal website. We got a blog there. It's eventually going to be a hub for everything. We'll see. It's probably still in development, but that's okay. Go check it out. Bookmark it. It will be a good resource one day, and the blogs in there are just fun. You should just go check them out, even if they're old.
Yeah, it's usually either news from our perspective or just fun gaming articles we come up with, stuff like that.
Good stuff, though. And
last but not least, we can't forget Patreon.com.
Patreon.
/Bananarama TV. Man, we're so appreciative of everybody who has supported us, everybody who's been there from day one, and this just gives once again another platform to help us make a better channel, and it gives you an opportunity to interact with us more and to experience more Bananarama. If you head over there, there's all kinds of exclusive content you can get access to, podcasts and episodes of Control Freaks that you can't get anywhere else. Everything goes right back into the channel.
Oh yeah.
Definitely.
Oh yeah. We'll buy more awesome stuff and we'll have higher production value. And maybe one day we can spend all of our time doing Bananarama, and that'll be great for everybody.
Yay!
But in the meantime, we're gonna go do some other stuff. So it's been Felix and Loom.
Smith311.
And it's been nice hanging out with y'all.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Spaghetti.
Spaghetti.